Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to episode 279 of the 4,000 Question Challenge. And we are in the chapter dealing with politics at the moment. What was the last one called? Outlook. This one's called politics. How do you know to trust someone? I listen to their words. I will verify the things they say. If they tell me A and I find out that A is not true, I'll want to know why. And if I find there's a good reason why, I will continue. And when they say B, I'll trust it until I verify B. And if I find it's a lie, then I'm going to want to know why. I'm going to keep doing that until eventually I'll make the decision, is this person trustworthy? Are there always reasons for them not giving me the actual information? Or are they just not giving me the actual information because they're unreliable, because they're a liar, or because they're pushing an agenda? But I tend to be trusting up front, and it has gotten me burned. It will probably get me burned again, but I am not going to be so hyper-vigilant that I'm not going to trust anybody ever. I try to read the situation. If a stranger wants something from me, I'm going to want to know why. If a friend wants something from me, I'm probably just going to do it. Because once you make the cut, once you are my friend, I'm willing to die, kill, and live for you. And that latter part has always been the hardest for me. Who is your favorite world leader? I'm not sure I really have a favorite world leader. That implies someone who is actually the leader of a country. I guess they could be a really profound person that isn't the leader of a country, but they're still very important. I think so. Any world leaders that I actually have a deep and abiding respect for. Most of them are flawed. Well, all of them are flawed. Is there one that's less flawed than most? Off the top of my head, I'm not really thinking of any that I have a deep and abiding. Merkel, maybe at the time of this recording, Merkel is still in some kind of power. I think I probably have more respect for her than most. Do you register to vote the second that you were eligible? No, I did not. What institution do you have the most faith in? What institution do I have the most faith in? It's not Congress. It's not the executive. It's not the jurisdiction. It's not the It's not the judicial. Maybe journalism is an institution because they sometimes do good, though a lot of it has been weaponized by social conservatives to hurt the world. There are lots of, NGOs out there that have been shown to be deeply flawed, so maybe I don't trust them as much any longer. I don't know. It's a good question. Are we always responsible for what we do? What are the exceptions? We're responsible for our actions. Yeah, we are. Now, there can be reasons for our actions. For example, in what are the exceptions? People suffer the burdens they carry, the mental illness they carry. So there can be explanations for why people do things, but those aren't excuses. I've been an asshole because of my mental illness. It doesn't excuse me for being an asshole. I shouldn't have been an asshole. My actions were bad. But the explanation is I suffered and suffer from mental illness. But that doesn't absolve me of responsibility for those actions. It just explains them. And then I have to make amends and be better and do better and strive. But yeah, if somebody says, well, I'm not responsible for that because XYZ, bullshit. You were responsible for it. You've just given me a really good explanation why. It doesn't excuse it. Which gender has the easiest lifestyle? Well, here we are. This is the first question of the book. That is tasteless. Which gender? So I'm probably thinking that this is coming from a binary worldview of masculinity and femininity. I've not seen this being an overly inclusive book. Gender is a social construct, and they all carry burdens. Now, in our world, feminine gender identifiers suffer a lot more than the masculines do. But the masculines still suffer under the patriarchy. Um, Maybe not as a great an extent, but they still suffer from it. And as soon as they figure that out, they can start moving in their life to lessen that suffering, both for themselves and the damage they've done around them. But yeah, so again, not a binary. It's complex, far more complex than apparently this author is aware. I gotta hunt down a picture of Dr. Barbara Ann Kipfer and find out what she looks like. I'm getting the feeling she's a white woman. Hi, Mandarin. How you doing? Sinking ship. Women and children in lifeboats. What would you do? Well, if the ship is sinking and there are lifeboats aplenty for the women and children, but the inference is there are no lifeboats available for like the men, I would try to find the best method I could of keeping myself afloat and out of the water if I could. And if I couldn't, then I'd probably resign myself to dying. Save what you can. Die with some dignity. What does it mean to act selfishly? To think of yourself above others? That isn't that kind of the definition of selfish? Do you want specific examples? Like the 1% hoarding the wealth of all the people that they've exploited? There you go. That's a good example. They're the most selfish people on the planet. A handful, literally handful of humans have decided that they should have the wealth created by the other 7 billion people because reasons. Does one particular issue drive your choice of candidates in federal and state elections? I'm not a single issue voter. I have a great metaphor in that elected officials aren't saviors, they're public transportation. You get the one that gets you closest to the destination you want. And then the next candidate you hope comes along, gets you a little closer. And each candidate, with any luck, will get you closer to your goal, your destination. But the candidates are just a means of achieving that end. They are a tool. And our vote is what helps fuel that process. So I am not a single issue voter. I would like to vote for people who are as progressive as I am, but at the moment, the only candidate I can think off the top of my head who is AOC, and at the time of this filming, she can't run for the president, and I can't vote for her in the elections that she can run in. So no, I'm not a single issue voter. My vote goes to not Republicans, normally Democrats, and if I had an option to vote for a Democratic Socialist, a legitimate one, without helping a GOP candidate to get into position, I would take it. But at the moment, my option is to always vote for the Democrat to keep the GOP from getting another seat in anything. And last question of this video, what is one thing about living in this country that you value? Well, I'm really fond of the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights. There you go. That's one thing. We fail to live up to the potential of those documents miserably every goddamn day, every second of every minute of every goddamn day. But I'm still deeply fond of those documents, and I think that they are the solid foundation upon which we could build a just society if we could dismantle the patriarchy and get the established entrenched powers out of place and start getting progressive candidates into office and drive social conservatism into extinction. So there you go. We're going to end this on a pleasant, upbeat note. So this has been episode 279 of the 4,000 question challenge. Thank you for being here. I hope you are here for episode 280.